The annual Thompson family dinner was in full swing at Uncle Robert's mansion. Crystal glasses clinked, designer outfits rustled, and everyone was busy comparing their latest achievements. Everyone except me, quietly observing from my usual spot at the far end of the table. Victoria's just made junior partner at her law firm, Aunt Patricia announced, beaming at my cousin. Top of her class at Harvard Law, you know. I took a sip of wine, hiding my smile. Victoria had barely passed the bar exam, after 3 attempts that I'd anonymously funded through my holding company. And James, Uncle Robert added, his tech startup just got another round of funding. $10 million. Another secret I kept. That funding had come from one of my venture capital firms, though James had no idea who really owned Horizon Ventures. What about you, Sarah? Uncle Robert's attention suddenly turned to me, his tone dripping with familiar condescension. Still doing that. What was it again? Office management. The table fell silent, all eyes turning to the family's designated failure. If they only knew that office management meant I was the CEO of Atlas Industries, the parent company that owned most of their employers. Something like that, I replied mildly, taking another sip of wine. You know, Aunt Patricia chimed in, the receptionist position at Robert's company is opening up. We could put in a good word. I nearly choked on my wine. The irony was delicious. Robert's company had been a subsidiary of Atlas Industries for the past 3 years. I signed his paychecks. That's thoughtful, I managed, but I'm comfortable where I am. Comfortable? Uncle Robert scoffed. You should be thinking about your future. Look at Victoria and James, they're making something of themselves. What do you have to show for your life? I glanced at my watch, a subtle Patek Philippe that cost more than his monthly salary. I manages to waste her potential, Victoria stage whispered to James, both snickering. My phone buzzed quietly, a text from my CFO. Quarterly reports ready. Profits up 40%. Sign-off needed on executive bonuses. Speaking of managing, I texted back, hold all bonus approvals for subsidiary executives. Especially Thompson Technologies. Uncle Robert was still going. It's not too late to make something of yourself. Your cousin James could use an assistant at his startup. Actually, I said, reaching for my briefcase, I've been meaning to discuss business with all of you. Business? James laughed. What would you know about business? I pulled out a stack of documents, taking my time arranging them. Quite a bit as it happens. Uncle Robert, how's the merger with Pacific Corp coming along? He stiffened. How do you know about that? Oh, I make it my business to know about all our subsidiaries' activities. I slid the first document across the table. Especially when they're negotiating without proper board approval. Subsidiaries. Aunt Patricia's voice rose an octave. What are you talking about? Atlas Industries, I said clearly, watching their faces. The parent company that owns Thompson Technologies, Victoria's law firm, and the venture capital group funding James's startup. The silence was deafening. That's impossible, Uncle Robert sputtered. Atlas is owned by some reclusive CEO nobody's ever met. Nobody except family, I corrected, sliding more documents across the table. Though you never did recognize me at the shareholders' meetings. Too busy looking down your nose, I suppose. Victoria grabbed the papers, her face paling as she read. These are payroll records, executive compensation reports. All signed by the owner and CEO of Atlas Industries, I confirmed. Care to guess who that is? James's expensive Scotch glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the imported marble floor. You're lying, he declared, but his voice shook. This is some kind of trick. I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. Would you like to see the transaction records? The acquisition paperwork? The venture capital transfers? I paused. Or maybe just your quarterly performance reviews, the ones where I note your persistent mediocrity. The color drained from Uncle Robert's face as he recognized his company's confidential documents. But you're worthless. Am I? I smiled, pushing one final document toward him. Check the signature on your last paycheck, Uncle Robert. Tell me what you see. Uncle Robert's hands trembled as he held up his company's payroll statement. There at the bottom was my signature, the one he'd mocked as childish scribbling at last year's family gathering. This can't be real, he whispered. You're just what? I asked quietly. Just the family failure? Just the one who couldn't measure up to Victoria's law career or James's startup success? I gestured to the documents scattered across the dinner table. Funny how perspective changes when you see the whole picture. My phone buzzed again, my executive assistant. Thomson Technologies board meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Want me to add the performance review to the agenda? Yes, I typed back. And prepare the subsidiary restructuring documents. I think it's time for some management changes. Victoria was frantically scrolling through her phone. Atlas Industries. Major acquisitions. Corporate structure. Her face went even paler. Oh my God. Finding some interesting reading? I asked. Like how your law firm's merger last year was actually a hostile takeover by Atlas. Or maybe the part where your junior partner position exists solely because I created it. She stammered. You're behind everything. Not everything, I corrected. Just the parts that keep all of you employed. Those 3 bar exam attempts? Atlas covered the costs. James's startup funding? My venture capital firm. Uncle Robert's company staying afloat during the pandemic? Emergency capital injection from Atlas Industries. James slumped in his chair. The $10 million in funding was a test, I finished. One you're failing spectacularly, by the way. Your burn rate is unsustainable, your product development is months behind schedule, and your management style. I clicked my tongue disapprovingly. Well, let's just say your performance review tomorrow will be interesting. Tomorrow, he squeaked. Oh yes. Did I forget to mention? Atlas is reviewing all its venture capital investments. Underperforming startups will have their funding. I paused deliberately, discontinued. Aunt Patricia found her voice. But why? Why let us go on thinking? Thinking I was worthless? I laughed. Because watching you all desperately try to prove your success while secretly depending on my company has been educational. Like Victoria bragging about her law career while I approved her salary. Or James boasting about his startup while begging my VC firm for extensions. My phone chimed with another message. The board of directors. Quarterly review tomorrow. Subsidiary performance reports ready for your signature. Perfect timing, I typed back. Add a special agenda item. Management restructuring at Thomson Technologies. Uncle Robert must have sensed something in my expression. Sarah, about what I said earlier. About me being worthless? I smiled. Don't worry, Uncle Robert. Your performance review tomorrow will reflect exactly how much I valued that comment. The color drained from his face. Performance review? Did you think those merger negotiations with Pacific Corp would go unnoticed? Trying to sell company assets without board approval. I shook my head. That's the kind of thing that gets CEOs fired. Victoria leaned forward. Sarah, be reasonable. We're family. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Was it family when you mocked my career choices? When you excluded me from your law firm celebrations? When you all treated me like I was beneath you? My phone buzzed again. Human resources. Management termination papers ready for your review. Speaking of family, I continued, let's talk about tomorrow's board meeting. Uncle Robert, you'll want to clear your schedule. And James? Better prepare a detailed explanation of your startup's burn rate. Victoria? Your law firm's partnership structure is up for reorganization. The silence was broken only by the soft clink of ice in abandoned drink glasses. You can't do this, Uncle Robert protested weakly. The shareholders. I am the majority shareholder, I reminded him. Atlas Industries owns 51% or more of every company at this table. Including, as of this morning, Pacific Corp. So that merger you were planning? Consider it cancelled. James started to stand. I'll find other investors. With what track record? I asked sweetly. Your startup's only successful funding rounds came from my firm. And after tomorrow's performance review, finding new investors might be challenging. Victoria's legal mind was finally catching up. The bar exam payments. My partnership. Everything was you? Everything, I confirmed. Every success you've claimed, every achievement you've bragged about, every milestone you've celebrated, All made possible by the worthless cousin you loved to mock. My phone lit up with another message. My bank. Confirmation needed. Suspend executive compensation payments at Thomson Technologies? Confirm, I typed back. Effective immediately. Looking up at their stunned faces, I continued. You know what the funny thing is? If any of you had bothered to attend industry events, read business news, or even just treated me with basic respect, you might have figured it out sooner. Atlas Industries isn't exactly subtle about its acquisitions. Uncle Robert was still staring at his payroll statement. All this time, I agreed. Every family dinner where you called me worthless, every holiday where you mocked my career, every celebration where you excluded me, I was signing your paychecks. My phone buzzed one final time. Security. Thomson Technologies access cards deactivated as requested. Oh, and Uncle Robert? I gathered my documents. Don't bother going to the office tomorrow. Your access has been revoked. The board meeting will be held virtually, though your participation will be limited. Limited, he croaked. You'll be in the audience portion, I explained, along with the other soon-to-be former executives. Victoria's legal training kicked in. This is corporate manipulation. We could sue. With what lawyers? I asked mildly. Your firm works for me. All of them. But feel free to seek outside counsel, though they might be interested in some of your more creative billing practices. James slumped further in his chair. Pie's startup will be undergoing a thorough audit, I finished. Starting with those interesting expense reports you've been submitting. The ones with all the first-class flights and luxury hotels. Standing up, I smoothed my designer dress, Chanel, though they'd probably assumed it was a knockoff. Well, this has been enlightening. But I have a busy day tomorrow. Firing incompetent executives, restructuring failing companies, reviewing underperforming investments. Worthless things like that. Sarah, please, Aunt Patricia tried one last time. We can talk about this. Now you want to talk? I laughed. After a decade of dismissal? Sorry, but I have a board meeting to prepare for. Unlike some people at this table, I actually earn my position. My phone buzzed with meeting notifications for tomorrow. 9 a.m. Thomson Technologies Board Meeting Management Restructuring. 11 a.m. Venture Capital Portfolio Review, Startup Funding Cuts. 2 p.m. Law Firm Partnership Restructuring. 4 p.m. Exit Interviews. Perfect schedule, I thought. Nothing like a day of corporate housekeeping to clear out the dead weight. One last thing, I said, pausing at the door. Victoria, James? Those performance bonuses you were expecting? I've decided to redirect them to a better cause, my new scholarship fund for worthless employees who actually work for their success. The silence behind me was broken only by the sound of shattering illusions and crumbling careers. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving your worth. It's showing exactly how worthless others would be without you. Welcome to reality, family. See you at tomorrow's board meeting. Don't be late. The new CEO doesn't appreciate tardiness. After all, running a multi-billion-dollar corporation is serious business. Even for someone you thought was worthless.